Good evening. This is the June 19, 2019 meeting of the Auburn Finance Committee. It's just after 7 o'clock, starting a couple minutes late. Our agenda tonight, we're going to be reviewing and voting on several transfers relating to the fiscal 19 budget that we're just completing and also some for fiscal 20. We'll also entertain a motion to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to verbally approve transfers up to $250 to close out fiscal year 2019, which is something we've been doing for several years. We'll have a quick review if there's any comments on the minutes from 2/27/19, and then we'll adjourn. I'd like to open this up asking the CFO, Ed Kazanovich, just to give us a bit of an update. There'll be several transfers from the reserve account, which is normal for the year, but if we get in front of it, just to see where the balances are starting and where they're going as we move through these transfers. Ed?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You.
I provided to each one of you, and if no one, we may be one short. If you can send that down. Mallory, do you have one? Oh, there's one coming your way. Anyway, going in tonight, I wanted to give you a status report on the balance of the regular reserve account as well as the salary reserve account. The balance as of today in the regular reserve account is $164,500. There are 4 requests being asked the Finance Committee to vote on tonight, which would leave a balance of $131,900. In the salary reserve account, we have an opening balance of $28,880.51. There's 3 transfers being requested tonight, which would leave a balance of $16,592.45. Also, a number of transfers are addressing our snow and ice deficit. We were able to prepare transfers without requesting anything out of the reserve account to cover that deficit. There was some surplus funds within the DPW department that is going to cover those shortfalls in snow and ice. So after tonight, we're in great shape in terms of the reserve account. Not knowing if we're going to require any other transfers to close out fiscal 19, certainly something could pop between now and June 30th. We believe we have all payroll covered at this point in time, but certainly there are some unforeseen potential expenditures that could hit. There are 2 transfers tonight that are coming out of the reserve account that address an emergency repair on 2 of our generators. Certainly those were unforeseen. The total cost of both those transfers is about $6,200, so we had to bring those back online. It was critical in terms of maintaining operations through a repeater for backup communications for the police department and dispatch. We had to bring those back online, so there were 2 transfers tonight addressing emergency unforeseen expenditures that we did not anticipate. So, Mr. Chairman, that's an update. That's where we are leading into tonight.
Great. Thank you very much. And obviously, if any of the members have any questions still relating to reserve balances, feel free to chime up. So let's get right into these transfers. The first one I have is for Inspectional Services. Director Darlene Coyle is here. Is it just one transfer, Darlene, that you have, or one page of transfers?
We have a couple.
A couple.
Animal control and planning.
All right. Okay, good. We'll take them as we go here. These 2 transfers are both for $200 each going to the Animal Control Officer backup coverage. I'll accept a motion to take these together.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thanks. First is from the telephone services, amount requested $200, and that's going to clear out the telephone services account. The second transfer from vaccinations has a balance of $283, amount requested $200, and the expenses for emergency coverage calls. Any comments or questions for Darlene on this?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darlene. All right. Our next transfer is planning.
Okay.
Okay, you do a few there. 3 pages, great.
This one, these two, right?
The amount requested,
There was another animal.
One,
What's that?
do you want to take that one?
614.
yeah, okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. We also have, I'm sorry, it's on a second sheet. There's also another transfer for animal control.
Yeah, that's, is that duplicate?
Nope, it's different.
Okay.
Does it say kennel
Yep,
maintenance?
$400 each?
Yep.
Yes, that's correct.
Great, thank you. There's 2 transfers. These are going to different accounts. The first transfer is for $400 to kennel maintenance. This is expense for kennel needs and pest control. This is coming from the travel account. Any questions on this?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. The second transfer, also for $400 to veterinary expense. This is for veterinary services invoices. This is also coming from the travel account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now, also under Darlene's domain here, this is under planning. I requested $37.26. Yes.
Go back for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking at this fence sheet. Am I looking at it wrong? It looks like it's, the 913 is in the, oh, all right, okay, never mind.
We good? Yeah, just to balance forward.
It's going into veterinary expense.
Yes.
Gotcha. Sorry about that.
I actually initially looked at that the same way. Under planning, amount requested $37.26 to miscellaneous supplies. This is for an incorrect account charged for reimbursement. This is coming from conferences and meetings, sorry.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. That's
Thank
all you
you.
got, huh?
Thank you so
That's it,
much.
huh? All right. Have a nice evening. Okay, next transfer. This is, we're now under, well, this is police. Lieutenant Harrigan's here. Just one page of transfers, Eileen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are 3 transfers here under police. The first one is $6,500 going to the overtime account. This is resulting from the resignation of a full-time dispatcher in April. This is coming from the desk clerk's account. Any questions?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. The second transfer, amount requested $8,000 to technology support. This is to cover costs associated with server upgrades, email migration, and backup for the department's computer network. This is coming from the patrolman account. Any questions?
Yep, question. Will this cover the whole cost?
No, this is, well, it will cover the labor costs associated with the project that are estimated to be $8,000. Basically, the vendor's requiring a retainer. They want to be paid in advance of any of the work that they're going to do. That's their best guess as to what the cost for the entire project is going to be. So that's why we're requesting the $8,000. Any residual balance, let's say they complete the project under that, can be applied against future costs, so we won't lose any money.
Okay,
Thank you.
Just
thank you.
Kevin?
question, and maybe the lieutenant or the CFO. How does the police department's technology differ from the town's technology? I know when we fund stuff, we've got IT stuff for the town. Does the police department have different email addresses? Are we different, like, are we, and why, I guess?
Yeah, we're not on the town system at all. We have our own independent network with our own email addresses, and part of this, the overall project that we're hoping to complete, if you recall, for our 2020 budget, we did ask for an increase in our technology support line item, knowing that there were changes that were going to need to be made. Unfortunately, we way underestimated what those costs were going to be going forward. Now that we have some firm numbers and know what's coming, We're better able to plan. So our email is different from the town's email. Our servers are different from the town's servers. We're pretty much an independent network outside the town.
Okay, and I guess that would lead to my question to the CFO, why would that be? I realize there's some things within the police department that should maintain on their own servers, but why would we have, we've talked about additional storage for town email addresses. This isn't, a huge number. Why are we doing two separate systems?
On the capital expense side, under Article 4, you're going to see all of the hardware, software upgrades and changes budgeted under Article 4. Operationally, though, they handle their own support costs. I think it was carved out that way years ago because they wanted to maintain confidentiality and they wanted to maintain an independent system. So it's been budgeted that way for years. Not to say that it couldn't be combined, but I think that's something we can address going forward. I don't think you're going to see any savings as a result of a combination of those services. Certainly, they have to maintain their own software platform. It's a standalone, and I don't think I think they feel more comfortable having it as a standalone, so that data is not compromised in any way.
Okay. I mean, I certainly support, for this one, but just going forward, it seems like taking a hard look at, freedom of information requests and all those things those type of things are town-wide, security and firewalls and finance and accounts, and, those same security issues and confidentiality issues are across the board relative, whether it's police, fire, public safety, or town administration type things. We all sort of fall under that same umbrella. And I guess if we've got in-house IT people looking at future projects, I'd like to see it sort of looked at as a whole, and obviously maintaining their security for operational needs. But it seems if we're doing different server stuff for the police department, why don't we just have?
We do have shared systems as it relates to the accounting software and payroll and things of that nature, but they maintain their own investigative and what's the database?
Record management system through IMC.
The IMC.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do you have a motion on this?
Motion to recommend.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Our third transfer, this is a request for $13,340 to the equipment account. This is to provide officers with additional ballistic protection. This is coming from the patrolman account. Question or comment on this, Kim?
Eileen,
Yes,
this is not something that was budgeted, I'm assuming?
correct.
So what are we purchasing?
This would be for steel plate or steel body armor. Basically, what we're looking to do, in light of some of the recent events in town, is outfit all our fleet vehicles with hard body armor that we could wear over our soft body armor when we're responding to particular calls. So basically, this will provide another level of protection to our personnel for situations that may warrant it. We carry patrol rifles now. We've had for a long time, and in light of what's happened recently, we've recognized that we should be at least carrying or wearing armor that will protect us against a round that we're carrying. So we've looked before for grant monies to purchase this, and there just doesn't seem to be any out there. Recognizing that CIP's been tight with the radio project, the dispatch console, all those other things, it kind of was put on the back burner, and we really shouldn't do that. We need to protect our people. We have the money now in our salary account, so it seemed like an opportune time to request the equipment without creating a burden somewhere else down the road, whether it's through CIP.
Is this out for everyone?
It will be, so it's not like our soft body armor. It's kind of one size fits most, I'll say. So it'll be stored in the fleet vehicle along with our other equipment. So as needed, before you get to the scene. We're fortunate, sometimes we do have time to take a minute, get our gear out, get it on, and get to the scene. So that's what this would be for. It's not for an individual officer, it's going to be in all the fleet vehicles that are on the street.
So how many are you buying?
More than 20.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
20, sure.
All right, good questions, thank you. Kevin?
You mentioned for the fleet vehicles, but you don't have 20 fleet vehicles.
We'd be looking to put them in the DB vehicles, the fleet vehicles, the detail vehicles, because, just to give you an example, when we had an incident, it wasn't just the day shift, this happened on the day shift that responded, all detail officers that were working, and there were quite a few, responded to the scene as well. So we want to make sure that those vehicles have their necessary equipment. There were some of those guys that were there before the regular shift people were able to respond. So we're trying to create a vehicle that, it doesn't matter. If it's on the road, it has the resources needed to respond.
And the shelf life on these aren't like the Kevlar where it's a 5-year window. These have a longer life than...
Right, the steel plates themselves are 10 years. The outside carriers, bags, and all those other things, you know, we may have to replace those, but the steel plates themselves carry a 10-year warranty.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kim?
Eileen, is there any other equipment like this that has been put on the back burner that is critical to the operation?
The only other thing that I could think of that may be requested down the road, maybe ballistic helmets, but outside of that, I don't think there's any personal protective gear that we're wanting right now.
Did you say helmets? Helmets?
Any other questions? The motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eileen, nice to see you.
Nice to be seen.
Okay. Our next transfers. Yep, go ahead, Kim.
Eddie, because there is a significant balance in this account, is this a time that we should be purchasing helmets because you've got a balance?
First of all, this is the first I heard of the helmets. Eileen and I, the lieutenant and I had a conversation earlier last week about the need for these steel plates. It made all the sense in the world, given the fact that there was a substantial surplus in the wage account. We understand that these should be programmed through the CIP, and I think because of a situation that arose, it drew some attention to the need for this equipment. I don't know what the cost of the ballistic helmets will be. I don't know what the turnaround time is. I don't know if they have to be fitted. So I don't know if they could be delivered in a reasonable time by June 30th or even a short time after that. My guess is it would take some time to measure and to
Eileen, feel free to come on up, please. Good question.
Those are good questions. That was just something that came up through conversation that was mentioned kind of off the cuff, the ballistic helmet, prior to any of this happening that hadn't been talked about. I know in the past, the department may have had riot helmets at one time, but I'm told the ballistic helmets are far more expensive. They're fitted, so no, we haven't even gone there. We're grateful just to have the plate carriers, but knowing that there is money in our salary accounts this year just because of the vacant positions, I couldn't even put a number on the cost for the helmets and at this point.
That's fine. I just, if there was personal safety equipment for this department or the other emergency departments, I think it's in our best interest to when we have the ability to purchase it without breaking the bank to do that. So,
I think time is not on our side. We have a week left in the fiscal year, and I don't think we would be able to, we wouldn't even be close if we placed an order immediately. Given the fact that they have to be custom fit and measured, I don't see it happening this year. But certainly, I think that discussion will take place on the next round of our capital discussion to see if we can program in and make it a priority and maybe amend it so maybe we can do it in 2020 through an amendment or an outside article at a fall town meeting.
thank you.
With the fact that these may be, I'll say, personalized, size-wise, that kind of thing, would that cause an issue for that to be eligible for CIP?
No,
If they're
I
custom
think
fit?
as long as the total cost exceeds $10,000, it would be ineligible.
And I only say that because on the baby expectation that we have a nice chunk of free cash again come the fall, is this something that would be eligible even though it's probably a CIP item?
Oh, no, it would definitely be, a CIP item is an eligible expense under free cash.
All right, just, I'm kind of,
Yeah.
it'd be a nice thing to keep on the front burner if we have the numbers and what exactly we've got in front of us on this.
So we'll have the lieutenant look into it and try to get an estimate of cost, and then it's something that we can consider in the very near future.
Thank you, thank you. Thanks, Lieutenant.
Through the chair, just having a little bit of background, I think the helmets, we'll find are much like the vests in that it's 80% of people are going to fit into like a medium. I think if you get into the tactical units, they have a much more unique sort of setup, but yeah, so I mean, I think if you had the stuff in place, you know, they usually send you a sample, a small, medium, large, and an El Grande, but I think you'd find that most people would fit into one. You know,
Okay.
I guess I was a little bit surprised as well that you know you weren't proposing it as a package deal. That's you know a package that goes in the back with the medical gear and everything else, and completely understandable. But and cost-wise, I think, yeah, they're a little more than the riot helmets, but you're probably $500 to $600 per helmet in that ballpark.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can address it. Thanks, Eileen. Nice to see you. Okay, we'll get the fire department up next. Assistant Chief Glenn Johnson's here. This gets exciting. We've got fiscal 19 and fiscal 20 transfers. Let's take the fiscal 19 transfers first, and then I'll cut back and give the microphone back to Ed for just a minute to talk about fiscal 20. So we've got a couple of pages of transfers. The first one I have, this is amount requested $1,679.15 to the new equipment account. This is for the town hall's defibrillator. This is coming from a training account, which is plenty in there. I guess my only question on this is, we must have thought of why this has got to come out of the fire budget versus general services versus somewhere else. Why is it coming out here for?
So actually, the AED we had on the first floor of this building was loaned out to the library because the one they had down there disappeared. So they draw many people into the library, a lot of elderly people. There was a definite need to at least get one in there. So actually loaned it to them and saw this as an opportunity. We've been talking about with the health director and the recent movement to equip all of our ball fields and parks with AEDs, that we needed one in this building. So we saw this as a result of a surplus within the fire department. The fire chief offered to purchase the AED and equip the first floor once again with that unit.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
Through the chair, just a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Relative to that one, does the library have a case that is alarmed so that we can prevent future walk-offs or misplacements or whatever?
It actually didn't disappear from the library. They went in for service, all the AEDs came in for service on one day, and then when they went back, there was one short. We believe a church accidentally took
Okay.
the libraries. We've been hunting it down.
Okay, so it's a-
But we've been unable to find it at this point.
Okay.
So it was
They'll be
taken
supporting
out
some of
the
these files.
churches?
It wasn't actually stolen
Okay.
from the library.
Okay.
I was going to say, that's a high-end library card, huh?
I don't know what, yeah, they have no value. I mean, there's nothing you can do with it other than...
Okay, also fiscal 19 transfers under the fire department. We've got 5 transfers, all going to the protective gear account. I'll accept a motion to take these as one.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Before I do that, Glenn, can you give us an update? There's no explanation for the reason for the transfers, so what protective gear are we?
So the reason for the protective gear transfers is, I believe the chief came before you guys a couple months ago, and he had expressed that there would be a possibility to do some transfers to obtain a second set of gear for 4 members that we have not purchased. And then on top of that, we had 4 sets of gear that failed during the inspection that we have yearly, and so we need to outfit them with new gear.
All right. Sir,
Chairman,
yeah,
if
go
I
ahead.
may,
Yep.
There was a hazmat situation where we lost, how many sets of gear? 6?
There's been quite a few, yes.
And we actually received a sum of money from the insurance company. And at the time, the chief did not know the value of what we were going to receive from the insurance company because they devalue the gear based upon its age or whatever. So I think he got roughly 50% of what the value of the gear was. So we took that reimbursement. In conjunction with these transfers here, we'll be able to replace the gear that was lost during that hazmat incident.
Okay, and this is about $17,500, give or take, the combined on these transfers, so we're talking $35,000 gear replacement costs.
Well, it may include some other gear that may have failed. All I know about is the hazmat situation where the gasoline or the diesel deteriorated the...
Which those hazmat ones we've worked out with the insurance company, and we've tried to purchase on the side. These are for 4 sets that have failed, and then 4 additional sets. And the gear itself is over $2,000 a piece.
Okay, just so we're aware. Kev?
Just a question to
Yeah.
the chief. As we move towards, obviously there's studies with the gear and the protective gear and the washing machines, and we're moving towards this, is there a plan going forward that so that we don't hit the cycle of it's time to replace all the second sets and all the first sets?
So yes, we do have a plan in place. Generally, our first sets, we have about 6 to 8 sets replaced each year. So the average for our first set is about 6 years. However, with the purchase of the second set that we've gotten recently, we've been able to try to extend that out. The general life is 10 years, and then we have to get rid of the gear. So we've been able to try to push that out. We're hoping to 8 years for the first set, and then the second set, as they go through, they also are being worn, and the plan would be to try to get them on a cycle so that we're not necessarily buying all the sets for the second set at once.
And those will go into your regular budget cycles going forward?
That is the plan.
As opposed to
a one-time purchase.
As opposed to, coming back for transfers, but those would be...
Yep. The plan is to get it into the budget cycle. Unfortunately, when a set of gear fails prior to what we believe the life of the gear is, sometimes that throws a little wrench in our process.
And that inspection process, timing-wise for that, can we time the inspections so they coincide with the budget process?
So we try to. We were using a company that's mobile. We've been using them forever, and we schedule them, but sometimes he moves it around on us, and he was actually with us for 5 days this fiscal year, and he's coming back in August to finish up some of the stuff that he has not got. But this is his last year, and he is selling the business or going out of business because I don't believe anybody's buying it. And then from there, we're going to have to use a new vendor, and at that point, we will have a completely different system for it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, I'll say pre-questions? Okay, so just going through these transfers quickly. $150 from the property damage account, $70.58 from the food miscellaneous account, $148.15 from the general instruction account, $9,497.66 from the holiday account, and $7,614.61 from the overtime account. Any final questions on this?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Great, thanks. The next transfer that we have, the last one on this page, amount requested $2,707 going to the medical supplies account from the overtime account. Reason for the transfer, the medical supplies account for the ambulances in deficit. This transfer will address the deficit and cover expenses for the rest of the fiscal year.
Motion to approve? Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. All right, so that finishes the fiscal 19 transfers for fire, I think. So I asked Ed to, Eddie and Julie, actually, to give us a bit of an overview. The fiscal 20 transfers that we're addressing now for the fire department are related to collective bargaining, concluded collective bargaining, which is always a good thing. So if you could give us a little bit on what we're approving here. I know most of this is salaries and kind of we've got to be careful how we ask our questions on this.
So I got to be careful how much information I put out there, only because we're currently still at the table with a number of bargaining groups. What I can tell you is during the budget process, we set aside a sum of money in the salary and wage reserve account for contracts that we had not settled, and that was primarily all of the represented groups. The bylaw, we budgeted within each department, less the evaluation piece, which will have to come back at a later date. But the transfers before you tonight are the result of a recently awarded contract for the next 3 years. So these transfers represent the FY 2020 portion in several accounts, totaling about $127,000 and some change.
Okay? That's great. And these were actually negotiated by both of you, I believe, and that's been going on over the past several months. Questions? Kim?
The first couple of transfers are the fire chief. He has a separate standalone contract.
Yes, so I should have divided that up. These transfers represent obligations for the full-time firefighters, the fire officers, as well as an employment contract for the fire chief.
Kevin?
And can you just refresh my memory on the process by which contracts, including the fire chiefs, does that get approved by the Board of Selectmen, or how is that negotiated? Or
Under the charter, the town manager sets the salaries for the employees. So that was negotiated with the fire chief and myself. There are 4 contracts under Mass General Law that you have to have a contract for, and that's the police chief, the fire chief, the town accountant, town manager. Library director is an optional contract, but those are the only ones that you can have individual employee contracts for.
Okay, thank you.
Kim? Yeah.
These are significant amounts. Is there a percentage attached?
The firefighter's contract and the fire officer's contracts are specific to what the amounts are. There are COLAs involved. There are various stipends that have always been in there. There are various holiday pay that's in there. On the fire chief contract, likewise, everything is all written out. There are COLAs in there. I would say on the fire chief's contract, we did a salary study of the 14 communities that we consistently use all the time. And we didn't just look at base. If we look at base, we're not capturing the entire contract. We had to look at total package. So we had to look at 14 communities, what they paid for stipends, for educational, for EMS, everything, the total package. And when we looked at the total package of the 14 communities, our chief was ranked about the third lowest of the 14 communities. He was far below the average total package amount for the 14 communities. We dropped the highest, we dropped the lowest, we took another average, and that was even higher. So this was done to make an adjustment in the first year to his contract to get him closer. I would tell you that the adjustment in the first year does not put him at the top. It probably puts him right around the middle. There are, of the 14, with this adjustment, there will still be 8 communities that are significantly higher than our chief, and there will be 5 communities that would be approximately the same, if not a little bit lower. And again, we have to look at comps. We don't change communities, but I would tell you that in some of those comps, not every one of those departments oversees both ambulance, EMS, call, and full-time. So they're comps for us town-wide. We use them for all. For fire, it's a little different because the departments aren't the same. So when you then look at the departments that are similar to ours, with an ambulance, we were actually one of the lowest. So the adjustment is in the first year to try to get the fire chief's contract closer to industry standards and certainly closer to the comps that we have. And then after that, it is a standard COLA, mirrors pretty much the other employees,
Okay.
if not lower.
Okay. Any other questions on this? Kev?
The other contracts aren't complete, is that correct?
That's correct. At this point, so we have 10 collective bargaining units in town. We have completed with ratification votes 6. The 7th one was completed at the table yesterday, has not been ratified yet, so that would make 7. And that remains, there are 3 remaining.
Good.
And are there other department heads, the police chief, are there other ones that are also going to be under negotiation? Is the police chief's contract up this year as well, or?
No, it's not.
It's not?
That has another, I believe, another year on that. The library director's contract, I believe, is up in end of August. Yeah, middle to the end of August of this year.
Any other questions at this point? So we'll go through these, and if there are any further questions, please feel free to stop me. Once again, just be mindful, depending on which one you have a question on, that you may need to word your questions carefully if you really want an answer on this. We're in a sensitive spot right now, collective bargaining-wise, so if I could just remind everyone on that.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just
Sure.
add, because I think it may address one of the questions you asked. The Board of Selectmen doesn't approve employment contracts with individual employees. They do, however, give direction to Ed and myself for collective bargaining. We go into executive session, and they do set direction for us, and these contracts have all been settled within the direction that the board established for us.
Good. Thanks for the reminder on that. Okay. The first transfer, Fire Department. This is amount requested $14,250 to cover contractual obligations for fiscal year '20. This is educational stipends, and this is a new account. Do I have a motion on this?
Motion to approve, and a question.
All right. Go ahead, Ann.
This is just for the career firefighters, correct?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Our Next transfer, this is the chief's holiday account, which is a new account, amount requested $5,076.92.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, so voted, thank you. Next transfer, this is chief's salary, amount requested $10,826.20, once again for fiscal year '20.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So voted. Thank you. Next transfer, also under Fire Department, administrative assistant salary account, amount requested $1,572.24.
Motion to approve, and a question
Go ahead, Ann.
to Ed or Julie. Is this position in a union position?
And it is, it's in the GEU clerical.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, do we have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Next transfer, career firefighters salary account, amount requested $95,385.65.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may also...
sure, Julie.
And I think it's important for the Finance Committee to understand this also. In addition to the collective bargaining, what you're seeing, obviously, are transfers to cover increases that are contractually obligated. But what you're not seeing here is the offsets that we negotiated at the table. And while I can't speak to those that are not settled, I can speak to those that are settled, including this. And we're very happy to say that we did negotiate to get an OPEB payment of 2% for all new employees. And OPEB payment also, it varies by contract, but basically, each one is different, but I would tell you in some cases it's 2% for the first 10 years that an employee is here. So for 10 whole years, they will be paying it. In addition, every new employee coming in those units that settled for that will be paying 2% into the OPEB. We are also doing that with all bylaw non-union positions. Starting July 1, all new positions coming into the town will be paying 2% gross into the OPEB trust account. The second piece that has been negotiated in all of those contracts is a shift from a 76.24 health contribution rate to a 75.25. It's 1%, but 1% is still a shift. So the town, those are the basic things that we are using as offsets. So I don't want you to just see the transfers and think it's all
Sure.
out. It's also in, and that is a major issue for us, and it was a priority, the OPEB payments.
Question for
Kev?
the chair to Ms. Jacobson. I can appreciate the offsets, but as we've had conversations before with relative to trying to remain competitive with our employees through other markets, as we chip away at stuff like those 2%, are we, in essence, at some point going to have to pay them 2% more when they're looking at surrounding communities where they may not be paying that 2%?
That is
towards
absolutely
OPEB?
part of this. That is why you are seeing transfers for some of these, trying to maintain competitiveness with other communities. And we did extensive analysis. It took us about 6 months to look at contracts and beyond base pay, everything else that is taken into effect on all 10 different collective bargaining contracts, and where we saw that there was a need to become more competitive, we had to address that need.
I guess I always
So
have a...
there are offsets, but the offsets are mitigated by the COLAs that were negotiated and other aspects of the contract. So, and it was agreed upon with the unions. We wouldn't be doing this if they didn't agree. So it was agreed upon, and we all understand and recognize that retention is number one. We've put a lot of time, effort, and money into training our personnel, and we want to ensure that we keep them. Once they're trained, we can't lose them to other communities because we're not keeping pace with the rates. So we did address that, and we're also addressing our long-term liability of OPEB, recognizing that, 10, 20 years down the road, some of these employees may not have health insurance if we don't do something about it now. So I think we found a healthy balance between addressing the OPEB and addressing the industry standards, and where we were low, we shifted that.
And I do understand that it is a balance, and it's a give and take, and it's looking for the future. But I guess personally, I always have that concern that almost sometimes these things come to the table and we negotiate away things for people that aren't even get a voice at the table yet, new hires, future hires. And
No, we recognize that. I can't speak to the details because we are still in negotiations with some, and I just can't jeopardize that. But I would tell you that we addressed the salaries of incoming new employees to make sure that it wasn't a loss, that there was actually still a gain.
thank you.
Good, great. Kim?
How does the OPEB work?
So it will work just like health insurance. Out of the weekly payroll, there'll be a 2% that will go into the OPEB trust fund. It's very similar to how you do health insurance. What we're seeing is every year there has been several pieces of legislation filed to address the OPEB situation, not just in Massachusetts, but it's a national issue. And I think it's just a matter of time before the legislature actually approves of legislation that will mandate that every employee pay into OPEB, in which case we would have to revisit the contracts to be in compliance with Mass General Law. But until such time, this is what we are doing, and it runs through payroll very similar to health insurance.
So it's like health insurance as opposed to retirement.
It's
Correct.
like a retirement deduction.
But it's health insurance, it's not retirement. Retirement's separate.
Right. It's
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at, is if it was a retirement deduction, it would follow the employee wherever once they left, they would,
Correct, this is health insurance.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah, it's health insurance, good question.
Okay.
So I just
And
wanted you
thanks.
to be
No,
aware
it's
of that.
Perfect to interject that. It's the
Is
other side
anybody
of
else
everything.
doing that? Any other communities?
Yes, yes. It is fairly new within the last year and a half that I've seen from other communities, but just here in central Massachusetts, I recently saw 4 other communities in central Mass alone, and our comp communities that have started to do it. They're not all in negotiations right now, but I
it's a
do
very
know that
smart-
as they will be heading into it, a lot of those communities are asking us for our language as well and what we're using, and we're looking at other
Very
languages.
smart thing to be.
No, thank you. We need to be proactive. It's for the benefit of our employees.
Yeah.
And I thank those bargaining units that recognize that, because it is important for their members as well as it is for the town. And I think we came to a great understanding of the issue and recognizing that this has to be addressed. We can't keep kicking it down the field for the next generation or administration to handle. We've got to address it now.
Good point.
Thank you.
All right, our last transfer, this is an interdepartmental transfer, not a reserve transfer. This is going to the chief's education account, which is a new account. Once again, this is for fiscal year '20. It's coming from the chief's salary account, and the amount requested is $2,500.
Motion to approve?
All in favor? Aye. So voted, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is just separating, it's already in there now. It blends in
Okay.
the FY20 budget,
Yeah.
it's blended in there. We're just breaking that out to show a true base pay.
Right.
With educational and other pay types as a separate item.
I was actually going to ask Glenn about that, just because he's back there, he's rearing to go on something.
I could have answered it.
I also want to let the committee know that we plan on doing a reimbursement to the salary and wage reserve account with a portion of the ambulance proceeds for FY20, because the chief does oversee and administer that program.
Is that the first time we've done that?
Yes.
I have not heard us doing that. Okay.
Oh, I understand.
And that makes sense, too. Good, all right. Glenn, that's all we got, man.
All right. Thank you very much. You guys have a good night.
Glenn,
Take care.
thanks for coming, good to see you. All right, back to fiscal 19 transfers. And we've moved on to the DPW at this point in time. DPW Director Bill Coyle is here.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Nice to see you.
You as well.
And we'll try to get through this as painlessly as possible. The first transfer I have, there's 3 transfers all going to replace pipes and catch basins. I'll accept a motion to take these 3 together.
So moved.
Have a second? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. The first is from the training account. It's $1,021. The second is from the sediment disposal account, amount $4,000. The third is from public education, amount is $547.65. All those accounts are going to get closed out. The reason for the transfer is to perform repairs to the drainage system. Any questions on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Our next transfer page, much more legible page. This is under DPW engineering. Amount requested is, wait for it, $12.85. It's going off of supplies, and yes, it will eliminate a deficit. This is coming from the salary account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Our next transfer, this under DPW stormwater, amount requested $6,000 to go to GIS and inspections to purchase a plan-size scanner/printer. This is coming from the wages under stormwater.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. That's a replacement bill, or is that new?
That's actually a new unit. It's something that we were thinking of going to town meeting for in the fall, but where we had funds remaining in the stormwater wage account, we thought it was a good opportunity to come before the committee.
Okay. Big machine. Let's see, under DPW highway, amount requested, $33.21 to the highway superintendent account to eliminate a deficit. This is coming from the assistant DPW director account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Next transfer, amount requested, $760.32 to go to clerical. This will also eliminate a deficit. This is coming from the stormwater wages account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Next transfer is $5,500 going to the overtime account, also to eliminate a deficit, and it's coming from the wages account.
Motion to approve, and a question.
Go ahead with the
Brad,
question.
is this a snow and ice account?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Also under DPW Highway, we have a request for $320 to the drug and alcohol testing account. That is to pay an invoice for mandatory drug testing through the Department of Transportation. This is coming from the fuel for the building accounts.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Also under DPW Highway, we have Let's see, 2 requests going to the license account. I'll accept a motion to take them together.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. $180 coming from the training and education account, and $202 coming from the traffic paint account. This will to eliminate a deficit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Also under the highway department, let's see, we have 3 requests going to the advertising account. I'll accept a motion to take these together.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. $214.64 is coming from the fuel account, $200 from property damage account, and $144 is coming from the advertising account to the advertising account. So I'm not too sure about
I
that.
believe one's engineering and one's highway.
I will take your word on that.
Okay, they have different numbers. Yeah.
And the reason for the transfer, which I omitted, was advertising an open position due to a retirement.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Under facilities maintenance, amount requested $231.31 to the skilled craft difference. This will eliminate a deficit. This is a differential payout, right?
Yes.
Okay. A motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Under highway, amount requested $16,233.43. This is going to the overtime snow and ice account,
Motion to approve.
and this is from wages full-time. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Am I missing, where is this snow and ice? Overtime. Okay, never mind. That
second.
eliminates part of the deficit, correct?
Right.
Not
A
all.
substantial amount of the deficit was covered through our wage account. We had one early retirement and then one person out on injury.
Okay.
What was the total deficit of that?
Somewhere in the order of, I don't know if Ed has, around 25 to 30,000.
Really? I thought that would be higher than that.
About 25,000.
Really?
25. Thanks, Ed.
So Kim, there are a number of other transfers into the...
We haven't gotten to them yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Good questions. Under highway, amount requested $6,755.20 to the salt and calcium account, coming from wages full-time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted.
Here are the other transfers, Kim.
Okay.
Okay. So let's take the first one and then we'll take the rest together. Under DPW highway, amount requested $11,357.51 to part-time wages, and this is coming from the equipment rental account, and this is related to the snow and ice, this transfer also?
Yes, the equipment rental are the private contractors, so because we didn't utilize them as much as we have in the past, because we had about 48 inches of snow.
Right.
We had surplus funds in the equipment rental account, but part-time wages, which is the employees outside of highway, get paid under that account, so one account to cover the other one.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. The next 1, 2, 3, 4 counts are all going to overtime. I'll accept a motion to take them as one.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Okay, first one, this is all to decrease deficits in the overtime account. From equipment rental, $44.99. From sand and gravel, $5,930.25. From storm meals, $800.07. And from plow blades, $43.57. We never have a surplus in that account.
Power blades?
Get better blades now?
I don't think we could buy one for that amount, so that's why it was remaining.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? I notice you're not feeding everyone either, right? Let's see, under package golf course, we have 5 or 6 transfers. First one, amount requested $599.76 to the superintendent account from contingency. That's to cover a deficit.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. $407.92 to the groundskeeper account, also to cover deficit, also from the contingency account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. The next transfer, $119.52. This is to the callback/tech support account from the contingency account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Okay, to the equipment maintenance account, $235.60, also from the contingency account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. The last on this page, $52 to miscellaneous supplies, also from the contingency account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Also under the golf course, to the seasonal golf account, also cover deficit amount requested $4,065.94 from the contingency account.
Motion to approve?
Second. I have a question.
Sure.
What is the seasonal golf account? Is that a salary account?
The seasonal golf, those are all the part-time employees that work the counter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also have a question. So, assuming there's a balance remaining in contingency on this, that basically sweeps to the retained earnings
Correct.
for the golf course? Okay. Good. All right, so we have motion. We also have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. All right. Let's see. This is under the DPW Sewer Division. I know Jeff Mitchell's here. Jeff, nice to see you tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil.
Let's see, we've got 3 transfers on this page. And first transfer, amount requested, $86.07 to the uniforms account to cover the cost of uniform T-shirts for 2 new employees from the fees and permits account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. The next transfer, $60.85 to the salary superintendent account due to a deficit from the wages account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. And the final transfer on this page, $13.40 to the clerical account, also due to a deficit from the wages account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Also under the sewer, amount requested $600. This is going to phones and alarms to cover higher than anticipated wireless phone bills through 6/30/2019. This is coming from the computer service account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Amount requested $92.50 to the building maintenance account to cover a deficit, also coming from computer service.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. And the final transfer on this page, $8,868 to the building maintenance account to cover additional needed repairs to the West Street Sewer Station coming from the wages account. Will this leave any repairs yet to be done, expenses on that, or is it?
No, this should cover the remainder
Motion
of the
to
work.
approve?
Great, thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Under emergency management, this is under the, let's see, okay, so Julie signed off on this one, it's important. $3,000 for generator maintenance. This is an emergency repair to the Leicester Street generator needed for backup power for the police, repeater communications, replace control boards. Was this the only transfer relative to
There
that
are, I
expense?
believe there were two, if not
Yeah,
three,
okay,
for
all right.
this.
I thought there was a bigger amount total. Any questions on this?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a
Second, one question.
Sure.
How old is this generator? Has it reached the end of its useful life, or?
No, it's relatively new, but as I understand it, a bee's nest was built on the motherboard of the generator and corroded it. They had to replace the motherboard, which was very expensive, so it was the labor. That's for that one, and the one here behind this building
Organ in it?
also failed. The motherboard wasn't talking to the system, it wasn't,
Child was not
Yes.
well-behaved.
so they had...
Bees and squirrels.
Both repairs were $6,200. We needed a total transfer of about $3,600. We had about $2,900 some odd dollars available within emergency management, but we had to rely on the transfer to bridge that gap.
Thank you.
Did the animal control officer get stuck with these? Please say no. Good, good. That's a good answer. By the way, this is a reserve account transfer. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Another reserve account transfer, also emergency management, $600. This is all the same reason.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Under manager, says salary transfer from the reserve account, amount requested $6,905.04. This is the town manager vacation buyback of 10 days in accordance with employment contract. Just a reminder to everyone that a couple of these, we've been doing these every year for quite some time, and I'm guessing that the management here isn't quite taking all the vacation days. That's why Ed gets sick. Fix that, will you?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Next transfer. This is also under manager. The amount requested $1,414.35 to the salary account to transfer funds to meet manager's contractual increase for successful job evaluation. This is coming from the clerical account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. This is a reserve account transfer. This is to the clerical account under the executive office of the town manager. Amount requested $181.52. Let's see, this is a salary increase on completion of a one-year probationary period.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Under the town accountant, this is a reserve account transfer, amount requested $5,201.50. This is a buyback request in accordance with employment contract, 10 days.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Under the legal department account, general counsel, amount requested $17,000 to provide funds for the May 2019 invoice in the amount of $8,127.69 and also an estimate for the June 2019 obligation.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Reserve account transfer. This is under legal to the negotiator account. Amount requested $12,000 to provide funds for estimated May 2019 and June 2019 invoices.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Under general services. To the building maintenance account, $9,000. This is for a new water tank, connect a new water line to Town Hall, and new sump pump in Town Hall. This is coming from the water, sewer, and heating account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. So what's guarantee on this? 20 years? 30?
I think the water line has got a life expectancy of,
Sorry. It's not 20 and it's not
so
30.
actually, when they reconstructed Central Street, we'd use that as an opportunity to put a new water line in dedicated for the sprinkler system, because we were having a lot of alarms and a lot of failures as a result of that.
Old building. Yeah. Old building.
I'm sorry, I can elaborate in the middle of trying to Yeah, exactly. It was,
Bill, that's just showing off.
trust me, it's important. It was something that the water department requested that we run a separate line. We have one line coming in serving the wire suppression system and the domestic service, so they suggested that we run a separate line.
Okay. That's fine. Do we have a motion on this?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Our next transfer, amount requested $4,000 to the office supplies account from the gas, oil, diesel account. That's a lot to transfer. So just office supplies, 4,000?
They retrofitted, we got new paper towel dispensers, new soap dispensers, new toilet dispensers. As a result of that, there was a one-time retro fee, but it's going to save money in the long run for the paper products and so.
Nice to see we have available money in gas, oil, diesel. All right. Do we have a motion on this?
Motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Also, amount requested $4,000 going to the telephone account from the gas, oil, and diesel account.
Motion to approve?
Second. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Amount requested $1,536.74 to equipment maintenance from the water, sewer, and heating account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so voted. Thank you.
The last one.
The last one. Nice. This is under employee benefits. Amount requested $5,000 to the Medicare account. This is estimated funds required to meet year-end payroll obligation, and it's coming from the unemployment compensation account.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, so voted. Thank you. Okay, that's enough for our transfers tonight. Our next item on the agenda is I'll accept a motion and certainly discussion to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to verbally approve transfers up to $250 to close out the fiscal year 2019.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, so voted. That's great. Any questions on the minutes? No? Okay. One last item before we close up the night. Just a little something I want to read to the committee here. It's with mixed emotions. I am not seeking reappointment to the Finance Committee. I would like to thank my fellow Finance Committee members, both past and present, town administration and their respective directors. Yes, Bill, including you too. and their staff for a wonderful experience as the town has evolved over the past several years. I feel that my main goal for being on this committee, which was actually adding my voice to reconstructing the town's educational facilities, has been accomplished along with several other equally important initiatives here in town that we've all collectively been involved in and we should be very proud of. And also, under being very proud, by coincidence or not, the overall financial health of the town is in very good shape, as we know. Certainly much improved from my first year on the board, somewhere back in the late 1990s. From that perspective, I believe it's time for others to continue advocating for their own personal initiatives. I think that's why we come on the board within the town, be it the upcoming public safety facility discussion, housing for our seniors and veterans, and also maybe slowing the growth of our taxes by broadening our tax base and trying to keep a lid on user fees. I've been especially fortunate to work closely with two extraordinary professionals in Ed Kazanovich and Sharon Kwiatkowski, who've worked closely with us and me in particular, and who have been integral in communicating with our Finance Committee while putting up with my terrible sense of humor over the years. I'd like to thank you both and thank everyone here, respectfully submitted, and thanks, guys, for a great run here. So with that being said, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night. Thank you.